Okay, on the next part of the show now, we've got my next special guest on today's show. Our discussion is food provenance and what we really know about it. Joining me on the studio hotline, we have Chef James Goldin, who is a group chef director at the Pig Hotel Group and worked under many recognisable hotel restaurants around the world, and chief ambassador to Maple in Canada. Hi, James. Good to have you on the programme.
Hi, great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. And on the introduction to my segment, a little discussion, I mentioned food provenance. And what is provenance? That's the first time I have come across that term, and perhaps most of my listeners as well.
So it's basically an understanding of where your food comes from and how it's made and produced and grown. And so I think Maple from Canada have basically done research to say that a large proportion of people are interested in the sustainability and the provenance of their food, but perhaps don't know how to find out, more information and to fully understand how to make an educated choice when buying food.
Okay, so it is knowing and pinpointing where our produce food comes from, the origin.
Yeah, and I think it's quite a tricky minefield. I think for a lot of consumers, and I think it's one of those things where we all want to kind of understand the whole process, and I think with the amount of interest recently on television and stuff like that of inside sort of documentaries on food production, I think people are becoming more and more interested in how to make those choices.
Yes, finding out where the motions of what's on our plate, basically, what it has to go through. Right, a few examples here. Pig's blood is the main ingredient for black pudding, and that maple syrup comes from the tree itself, with 1 in 4 people think it's made from bark. A few kind of polls there recently surveyed.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's quite interesting, really, because black pudding is one of those things that, as a chef, you just sort of assume everybody knows that, and it's quite interesting to hear those sort of stats. I mean, I can sort of sympathise a little bit with maple syrup, although maple syrup's just one of those incredible things that one of those incredible gifts from nature. I mean, not a lot of people know, but obviously, the maple syrup comes from the sap of the tree, and it's an incredibly sustainable product, and it's actually part of a law that they have out in Canada that actually prevents the trees from getting cut down or any form of sort of deforestation from that. So the whole sort of maple thing, it goes far deeper than just that delicious stuff that you put on your waffles.
Yes, because I only seem to use syrup, on Pancake Day, but syrup is actually a good substitute for sugar.
100%. I mean, well, I've got friends that are doing the whole no refined sugar month, and I've got vegan friends that don't eat honey. And all I say is, try maple syrup. I mean, it's got incredible antioxidants and the minerals that are in there. It's a fantastic alternative.
And on to my next topic I'm going to discuss about healthier foods and not so healthier foods. Could one of the reasons people eat unhealthy is because unhealthier foods are less pricier than organic foods, much more convenient to prepare as well?
Yeah. I think it's, time is one of the things that as humans we seem to always have a lack of, and I think that it's convenience, isn't it? I think a lot of people end up going to supermarkets and just sort of putting stuff into their basket without fully understanding what it is. And I think it's the foods that tend to be worse for you tend to be a lot easier to and I think as people sometimes it's just quicker to whack something in the microwave or to order a takeaway or something like that rather than actually spend a bit of time. But I think it's a great way to bring people together, and if people can take a bit more of an interest in the provenance and where their food comes from, they'll find that their families in turn will also want to take an interest, and it actually becomes a good talking point and brings the families together.
Yes,
I think it's an important thing.
And cooking, preparing a meal can have therapeutic advantages as well as improving your culinary skills.
100%, and you are what you eat. So if you understand what you're putting in your body, and that product's been reared or grown or produced with love, then it's it's another talking point. I mean, I've been talking to friends who say, oh, I got this amazing stuff from the supermarket and I cooked it up for a dinner party. And I think, well, if you could also tell your guests where it came from and talk a bit about how it was made, I mean, it's just a fantastic little sort of story for any, well, when we're allowed dinner parties. Sorry, I mean, we are in lockdown.
Yeah,
But
not to worry. And few more stats here on my notes. Over half of us, 56%, would consider changing our eating habits to help the health of the planet, but just 1 in 6 people, 15%, have done anything about it. That's quite intriguing data.
Yeah, I think I think it's a tricky one, that, because I think it also comes down to the fact that maybe people don't necessarily know how to make that impact. I mean, you read a lot about eating less meat and all those sort of different impacts, but I think the fact is that we just need to eat a more varied diet. And I'm a true believer. I don't eat meat every day. I'm not a vegan or vegetarian. I eat as I feel is good for my body. And I think there should be some days where we focus a bit more on simple sort of lighter meals rather than trying to sort of have a piece of fish or a piece of meat or whatever it is every night. I think that's possibly something for people to look at.
Yeah, sure. And with more people having more times on their hands, would you recommend to people to grow your own vegetables?
Absolutely. I mean, at the Pig, we have a wall kitchen garden at every single hotel, and that's what we promote. We want people to understand that something that's grown, on their doorstep or in their garden is going to taste so much better than something that's been sat in a warehouse for months or in a plastic bag sat on a shelf. So, if you do have the space, or even if you don't have the space, a little sort of seed tray on a windowsill with some salad in it is far better than those bags of slimy stuff you get in the supermarket that sits at the bottom of your fridge for days on end.
And that said, 1 in 2 people have attempted to grow their own food with 20% using a windowsill.
Brilliant. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's encouraging, isn't it?
I remember, like, my granddad used to grow his own tomato plants. Just put it on the windowsill, and then, hey presto, got tomatoes.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. I mean, allotments of, I think the allotment waiting lists have almost trebled over the course of this past year. So obviously people want to grow more veg.
That's encouraging. And also, do you find this encouraging that well-known food restaurants are attempting to put more healthier nutritional options on the menu, especially for the younger generations?
Yeah, I think that, back in the day, you'd always have that, that sort of vegetarian menu that used to sit at the back of the drawer somewhere on the waiter's station. Whereas now, even at the Pig, we're bringing, plant-based food into the limelight, and it sits, in pride of place on the main menu. And I think it's, I think younger people, well, not even younger people, but I think people in general are trying to be more healthy. More people are going to the gym, or they were, before lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, we're just a bit more sort of conscious of what it is we're eating. And I think that, as restaurants, we need to kind of diversify and actually, embrace these new movements. And I believe that, a plant-based menu is a fantastic way to eat. I like that sort of dining experience, especially at lunchtime.
Of course.
It's good.
And just on final note, what are some good, easy to make winter warmers? Stew, homemade soup, to name but a few.
Yeah, so I've been doing loads of those sort of recipes, but I've actually just done a few recipes for the Maple from Canada website. So on maplefromcanada.co.uk, I've done a venison dish, which I absolutely love game this time of year. It's a fantastic, sustainable protein, and I've done a dish which serves it with a butter roasted winter squash, and then I've also dressed that with a maple vinegar and slow dressing, so you get that lovely sweet and sour sort of dressing with the gamey venison, and then that lovely earthy sweetness of the squash. So that's a recipe that I would say everybody should cook on a freezing cold winter's evening.
Sounds nice. Delicious. Just thinking about it, and probably get our listeners cooking in the kitchen now.
Brilliant, that'd be great.
And Chef James Golding, I just want to say it's been a delight to have you on the programme.
Thanks for having me. It's
Thank
been
you.
Great to
You're
be
welcome.
Here.
All the best.
And you. Bye-bye.
Bye.